Welcome to the Knighthood Podcast, a 30-minute weekly catch-up on all things Newcastle Knights with your hosts, Michael and James. So strap in and let's go. Hey James, what's cracking, mate?
Not a lot, mate. Just ready to talk about the footy that just happened on the weekend. Some controversial stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into. But everything's going well.
Good to hear. Yeah. Definitely a controversial match. I'm feeling a bit flat still, and it's Tuesday, and we're almost 4 or 5 days after the match. It was really tough going through it this week. To be frank, I just just really disappointed for a number of reasons about this match. So look, we'll get into it, huh?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, let's get straight into it. We're gonna run over the Knighthood Podcast, Newcastle Knights, Round 6 review and Round 7 preview for the 2024 NRL season. Rightio. So the agenda for tonight will be full review, comprehensive score and stats, technical breakdown, press conference notes, final analysis. We'll run over the Knighthood Player of the Year 3-2-1 update. We'll run over the NRL adjusted ladder, see where the Knights sitting after 6 rounds. We're going to have a look at the 2024 pass or fail. So each week now we're going to give the Knights a ranking. Are we pass or fail? Critical coaching, club decisions is being scrapped for the week. We're not going to go into too much depth there. And then what we're going to do is roll straight into our preview for round 7, run over injury and suspensions, hard decisions that the coach needs to make leading up to this match, team list review from Team List Tuesday. We will go over players on notice, our fire up section, Roosters versus Knights head to head. Oh, I haven't updated this. Bulldogs versus Knights head to head. We'll be going over the key stats for the match versus the Bulldogs on Sunday at Accor Stadium. And then we'll also run over our match officials, the weather forecast, and do a final analysis, and finally get into our season betting tally and our round 7 tips. So you want to mix it up a bit this week, James? You want to run us through the week? What happened there? The Knights, we lost 20-22 at home versus the Roosters.
Yeah, I mean, I expected a close game, but I expected a better performance. Obviously, the Knights going down 20 points to 22 at home in front of a decent crowd there. They always turn out no matter what. But some controversy with the refereeing. I mean, in saying that, I think there was a depleted Roosters team. The things we could have controlled, I don't think we did control as well as we could. So,
let's get into the reviews, but we'll go over the stats quickly. So the Roosters scored 4 tries to the Knights 3. Ponga kicked his 1 conversion, so he's still perfect record for the year. And Gay Guy slotted a couple. We were 3 from 3 in conversions. The Roosters kicked 3 from 4. We also kicked a penalty goal from Ponga as well, so he got 2 from 2 for the night. And if we run into the possessions and completions, the Knights, they're at 49% versus 51% to the Roosters. We had 29 minutes of the ball, they had 30, so very close. And great completion rate there, 89% versus the Roosters at 85%. So, look, it's a high-quality match. Kudos to both teams. Both teams turned up, played their best. All-run meters, both teams run over 2,000 meters, very close. Knights 2,100, Roosters 2,200. Just looking through here, anything significant? Line breaks was even. Tackle breaks was pretty even. Average set distance was pretty even. Both teams going over 50 meters per set, which is quite high. Average play to ball squeeze quite even.
What did you think of that?
What did I think of the average play to ball speed?
Well, watching it live, I thought the Roosters were way quicker than us. But it seems
look, I've got a bit of I watched this press conference yesterday with Graham Annesley, the NRL one, and I'm just a bit disillusioned actually in regards to the NRL and their officiating across the board. It's just it's hijacked this last round. Look at the Canberra and Titans match there, and the coaches are even going at it over the refs. So I'm disillusioned by the officiating, and after watching this 1 hour recap that they do, I just got absolutely no faith that they're actually going to do anything to address it. I just think they're trying to cover up their inadequacy with stats, and they're deflecting away from what's actually going on. And I just think I think it's the biggest issue in the sport of rugby league in this competition, the NRL. I just think the inconsistency is the refs have too much influence over the matches. The full stop. It's as simple as that. There's they have too much power and control over what can and can't be called, and there's no consistency. And we're really seeing really ordinary calls from the bunker. We're seeing really inconsistent calls from the referees. And as a guy who loves the sport and likes to have a bet on the sport, I guess that's why I'm feeling a bit antsy, because it's really taking the enjoyment out of it, and also takes the predictability out of it as well, because you've basically got a third team, and that's the ref. And we're going to highlight some things. We'll get into that once we run through this little stats breakdown, and you can have your 2 bits on that as well when we get to that. So let's just quickly finish off these stats. We won't spend too much time on the stats tonight. Look, at the end of the day, the bottom line here is the stats are pretty even. We lost by 2 points. The kicking, one thing I note there is our kick defusal is good, 100%. We've been around that kind of 66% mark. Jenkins didn't play this game. Probably had something to do with it. So overall, we beat them in kicker meetings again, and I know a lot of people are criticising the Knights. I'm just going to have a sip of my iced coffee here.
Go for it.
So kicking meters, we seem to be winning this most weeks, apart from that first round against the Raiders. And James, what do you think? Some of these kicks look really ordinary in the first half. We don't seem to kick it long enough into the opposition. Like we kind of landed on the 20, and they feel like they're kind of soft kicks. Where look, if it was me, if I was trying to kick, I'd be trying to get it as deep as possible. So obviously they've got. But is it because they don't have the length of boot to do it, or is it a tactic?
It's definitely a tactic, I think, and it's obviously where they are on the field, because, but I'm not sure why it's got to be 20 meters out. Why can't they do it deeper?
It did improve in the second half, so I don't know whether there was wind or anything that had anything to do with it. I don't think so. But maybe the coach got in there. Maybe the coach said something to them at halftime. I'm baffled by it. I don't get it. I
thought they're I mean, you can handle a ball landing on the 20 if you're right up in the guy's face when he gets it. But no, I felt our kick chase was really off the other night, like really, really off. We weren't coming up as a line. Joey Manu had spiders on him. Like we just weren't there, like to meet these guys.
We do know that the Knights, O'Brien in the press conference basically noted that the Knights were fatigued, and that they have had a pretty tough run with travel. Some things that I've picked out tonight whilst I was going through and preparing the show is that, like teams like the Roosters played majority of their matches in Sydney this year before playing us, and they have a very little travel compared to what we did. We've been to North Queensland, we've been to New Zealand. So we've had two big trips there, and these Sydney teams were facing the Bulldogs, who have actually played 5 of their 6 games in Sydney this year. They don't have the same travel schedule as us, so luckily for us this week we have a 10-day turnaround. We'll get to that in the preview, but I think that if the Knights are a bit off when it comes to things like that, it probably comes down to fatigue. in terms of the kick chase. But I still thought the effort was there, 100%. I didn't see a lack of effort. Maybe they just weren't, full in the gas tank.
Yeah, good point.
Let's get on to our next slide. Defense. So if we were fatigued, we still tackled at 88%. So the Roosters are 89%. We made 386 tackles compared to their 390. So look, it balanced out. Look, a very even game. Missed tackles very even. Errors. We made 5 errors. They made 7. Penalties conceded was we conceded 4. They conceded 6, and ruck infringements was 3-all. So look, when you look at these the numbers, it's very hard to actually get a feel for. You look at that and you'd say, "Oh yeah, the ref didn't do too bad," but it's the critical times that the ref makes these calls, and how they can be quite different. The interpretation between both sides. I know, James. We're leaning in towards this referee chat, aren't we? So I can't wait to get into it. So let's go through your technical breakdown, and then we might tee off on the refs.
Yeah, okay. So first point, I've got Newcastle started the game with their no-nonsense conservative style of football, aiming for high completions and minimal offloads, along with a solid kick chase game. That happened early in the game, but they sort of, once they got out to that 8-0 lead, Ponga gets injured. Then they got a bit shaky, as you would. You lose your marquee player. The Roosters grew a leg and could sense blood in the water, basically. But next point, after the Ponga injury, Daniel Tupou try, they seem to struggle mentally. And on the flip side, the Roosters seem to empowered by Ponga's injury, as they should be. The Knights couldn't control the Roosters through the ruck at this period. I felt they really struggled to. They were just motoring up the middle there. That sort of probably culminated in that try to the hooker there, Brandon Smith.
Brandon Smith.
And he ran from almost 20 meters out, without a hand laid on him. So I know what. Adam Elliott.
That's because Ponga couldn't get off the ground. He couldn't get off the ground. Simple as that. And O'Brien didn't pull him off. Did you see that comment he made?
Yeah, it was classic.
I've just done it now.
He's not going to pull himself off. Classic stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's just one of those things. O'Brien in the press conference admitted that he got it wrong in terms of the interchange with the forwards because of the fatigue. So it was a shambles. Ponga couldn't get off the ground to make tackles. The middle forwards got tired. The coach didn't replace them. So for the first 15 minutes, they looked like absolute well beaters. And I was just thinking, how good is this? This is exactly what we've predicted. That they looked as sharp as I've seen the Knights look, even compared to anything last year.
They look real good, yeah.
Their first 15 minutes was outstanding. And I think it would have kept going that way if it wasn't for Ponga's injury. There might have been a bit of fatigue that came into the match, and it might have stayed pretty close, but we were on 100%. And a combination of the injury to Ponga, the coaching decisions in regards to the interchange, and then the refereeing just totally brought the Roosters into this match. And I think just one of those games, when injuries come, when poor refereeing decisions go against you, these things are out of your control. And as we do have a focus on betting on the podcast, the aim really is that you can't win every week, but we aim to sort of get three out of 4 right, and tip it about 75% to be profitable in punting. That's what we're trying to do. And the one game that we don't get right, it's not because we weren't right. It's because, injuries or the ref or something like that. So, look, this game goes in that basket. Anything else to add there, James?
I just got couple of other points there, and that's just I just felt the kicking game. Normally, we're pretty solid, and our kick chase is really good. It was, and you mentioned it before. Maybe there was a fatigue factor to that, and that's something I hadn't really thought of. I also thought as well, because I noticed when Phoenix Crossland was in the starting side, he really drove that standard with the chase, and since he's not there,
and the line
like
speed.
a lot of and the line speed, and that was another issue. The line speed was a bit off as well. So maybe they just need that other person to really be the leader in that sort of stuff. Because Phoenix ain't there.
Maybe O'Brien. Maybe O'Brien needs to make better calls and get Crossland out there, and like I think he played 21 minutes, so that's not enough. Especially when the side's fatigued. I mean, why would you play him 21 minutes? So he's going to be fresh. Surely you'd share the workload, and even if Brayley stays on and plays 9, you bring Crossland in just to do line speed, get him in the middle. He's proven that he's good at it.
It's definitely a strong point.
Yeah. Let's quickly run over the press conference notes. Basically, I've already touched on these points that. Well, I haven't touched on this point. He basically said that he's never heard the crowd react as they did regarding the officiating. Yeah, and we know now post match that the Knights were throwing projectiles at the ref. You could hear constant booing. The Knights are the crowd and the supporters are a very educated crowd, probably the most in the league, I would say. They've got a good view there in Newcastle, in God's country, and look, they know when something's up with the calls, and they were, but for them to be throwing projectiles, there's clearly something that's gone wrong. So extremely frustrating. So O'Brien made a note on that. He basically he took blame for not making the interchange calls that we mentioned. He commented on the fatigue, and then he also commented that the 10-day turnaround is going to be good for the team moving into this match. Well, let's sum up what you thought overall, James.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I did write this when I was still a bit pissed off, so it might come across as a bit pissed off. But anyway, so my first point, solid start by the Knights, which saw them go out to an early 8-0 lead. They were playing great. Didn't see it coming. It's not a capitulation. It was the injury to Ponga that sort of was the catalyst for other things to happen. The Roosters hit back with 3 unanswered tries off the back of a Kalen Ponga injury. And the Knights struggling to control the ruck after that. The Knights struggled in the second part of the first half, but were able to get it back to a 16-14 deficit. Next point, Newcastle's ruck defense was quite ordinary at times. Their kicking game, particularly in attacking positions, was very average. That's what I noticed when they were in their attacking positions. If they put a bomb or like any sort of high kick up, there was just no one coming through. Manu and those Roosters players just had free reign, basically. So the kick chase was, for me, substandard. With the Roosters backs, Manu 347 meters, Tupou 237 meters, and Suwali 228, and also Pauga 151. So they all ran a shitload.
Just a quick point on that. If you look at the stats from the Knights back 5, we almost matched them, even though those numbers are huge. I haven't broken down the segmented player stats this week. But yeah, I did hear some commentary in regards to that. And we were pretty, even though it didn't appear like we matched them, if you look at our back 5, our numbers were pretty good too. But got Manu at 347, that's a monster effort, isn't it?
I'm not sure how you felt, but this is one game where I felt what I was watching, and then the stats were completely different. The stats, when I went over them, it was a bizarre thing to watch.
But we're learning. Well, let's have a quick look here. But we are learning as we go through this process, and this, that's the whole point of the process that we go through, is to find consistency in what we're actually doing with our predictions, right? So, and also as supporters of the Knights, we want to basically see But we want to see what's truly happening with the performance of the team. And by reviewing things consistently, we can get a really good view and make an educated kind of call on things. Let's just have a quick look at the back five for the Knights. Normally we provide the stats update. I just haven't had time to put that together tonight, and I wanted to focus a bit more on the ref stuff. But so the back five for the Knights, Ponga ran 210 meters. So, I mean, hats off to that. I mean, he basically played half the game, or let's say 50 minutes.
And
that's
still a threat with the ball.
Oh God, he's in mint form.
Yeah.
He's never played better, in my opinion. So then, yeah, we've got Gay Guy at 157, Bradman Best at 274, and Ari Tuala at 141. And then what have we got? Marju on 218. So there you go. We weren't far behind them.
Yeah, maybe the Joey Manu meters sort of makes it look out of context, because that's a fair effort on his part. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I mean, if you compare him to Ponga, then Ponga's made 140 less, and then well, I mean, bested the rest of them. You got 274, wasn't it? So he bested Tupou, and Suwali, and Ponga. Is that what they call him?
We'll go with that.
Yeah. So look, I don't think the Knights get enough credit for what they've actually. I'm a bit pissed off that we're 2 from 4. I think we're doing way better than that. I think this side's showing plenty of grit. Yeah. It was. You think it was a disappointing performance? I would disagree with that.
There was just some areas, and like I said before, I sent this through when I wasn't the
I
was just annoyed. I was pissed off with the performance.
Have a couple of beers?
No, I didn't actually. No. But yeah, I just thought, looking back, and it gets to my final point there. Looking back, it'll be a game that they should have won based on the people missing from the Roosters, and I just think the things that we could have controlled, we didn't do as well as we could have. Obviously, the external factors like the ref, which I'm sure you'll get into and fire up big time about.
Look, I think that's a good point. I'm looking at it from the perspective that we started that first 15 minutes in
on fire.
top four form. Yeah. Didn't put a foot wrong. And we're just absolutely giving it to them, right? Then the only way the Roosters got back into the match was they got a easy bullshit penalty when they said it was like a third man in kind of tackle. It all basically the tackle wasn't complete. He put his hands on his back, and there's I've actually seen examples of 2 other examples in the match where the Roosters did it and there was no penalty. So it was inconsistent. And that it was off the back of that penalty. We didn't defend it, right? Then they scored in the corner. Fair play. They scored. We didn't defend the penalty. Ponga gets injured. Nightmare starts. I just feel like sometimes, and what I felt in that situation is as soon as the ref gave that soft penalty, it's like the Knights are up here 8-0. This he's letting them into the match easy. It's a soft penalty. We're on top of them. And they're the type of things that change the momentum and swing games. And obviously it swung massively because of the injury and then the mismanagement of the bench and the fatigue and all those type of things. But it goes to show just one little thing can change the whole trajectory of a match. It's quite interesting. It's a very interesting game when you look back at it. Look, I'll go into my points here. I'm going to do it now. Actually, I'm going to bring up by definition, the majority of professional fouls are basically either holding down a tackle player after a break has been made, right? in order to basically allow the teammates to reform in defense. That's by definition. I looked it up, right? So that's the majority of professional fouls are when someone makes a break, they get held down, and then they get put in the bin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play this. So that there kind of highlights my frustrations with the match. I just thought the control of the ruck speed in critical times in the match, and that Ponga one right at the end. I just thought,
What do you think of
shocking.
the bunker call on that? I think it was like
I know the one you're
perceived knock
referring
on.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
right
it
at
wasn't.
the front of our.
We knocked it back.
Yeah.
These Muppets, mate. I don't know. Seriously.
And they've got the big screens in there, and they still get it wrong.
Oh my god, it's shocking. It's shocking.
As Tuve said back in the day,
yeah,
get bigger screens. There's got to be an investigation into this. Come on.
Yeah, well, I don't see the investigation coming. It's I think this is going to be an issue in the game moving forward over the next month or so, leading into Origin, and hopefully it doesn't affect us in any more matches. Hopefully this is just the one match of the year that we got a bad rub of the green. But yeah, moving on from that, I've kind of had my vent. But I'm disgusted in the standard of officiating. That's my note there. And I think, like I said, I think the Knights looked great up until the 15-minute mark, and I thought it was a great effort to actually stay in that match and put themselves in a position to win. But to have it taken out of their hands by the refs was very shit. So let's get into our 3-2-1 player of the year.
All right. Yeah, I picked Bradman Best. I thought he was great. He made plenty of meters. He looked really good. He scored a try. No pun intended. It was his best game of the season by far. And that's what we need, from him. He's been really solid this year, but he probably hasn't got the ball in his hands as much as we need him to, or they're just not getting it out to him. But no, he was great. I thought he deserved the 3. Kalen, fantastic performance off, with the injury, and he was a constant threat. I mean, if he's not out there at the end, I don't think we're even in a chance of winning that game. So, and I just thought it was a heroic performance. I thought he was great. KPP, another great performance. Just shows his trajectory continues to go up. His constant improvement, and he was instrumental in in Best's try. So, yeah, had to give him the 1.
Well, remember last week I tipped KPP to KP. Offload. KP didn't score, but he did. Then they did score off that play, so we did call it. I felt it was coming, that the offload game might start coming, and he'd run those lines, and KP would get off him. So, look, he had a blinder. For me, 3 points by a mile. He absolutely whacked. What's the Lindsay Collins twice.
Yeah.
One of the best front rowers in the game, Collins, and he snapped him in half twice. I thought that was outstanding, and then that try assist, or it wasn't a try assist, but it was a try assist. He was just outstanding. He's played 6 games in the NRL, so yeah, where's his trajectory going? We did say he's the type of player that we've got he came in for Fitzgibbon this year. He's got X factor, and it looks like the club's made the right decision to put him into the squad. I thought Best was good. He got 2 for me, and I've left Ponga out this week. I gave Thompson 1. I thought he was really good there through the middle. I think he also made a try-saving tackle. It's hard to give Ponga any points this week, as good as he was and as brave as he was. We lost, and he was responsible for a couple of tries. So yeah, I can't include him in my 3-2-1. The ladder, Ponga is on 17 points. He's leading the way by a mile. Closest to him is Gay Guy on 7, and KPP is also on 7.
He's getting
with
up there.
Yeah, KPP with his good performance and man in a match from me and 1 point from you. He's our second best player, equal second best player this year. Yeah. Dally M leaderboard, Ponga is now kick out. So that's going to be a interesting lineup this week, isn't it? Who's going to get the best? And he's been absolutely devastating on that edge. I'm sure whoever's matching it, I'm not sure if it's going to be. Is it going to be Lucas?
Could be.
Not sure.
He can handle him.
God, it's a task coming up against this guy. He's a menace. The NRL adjusted ladder. We've got the Storm. They're there on 4 wins. The Sharks are on 4 wins. They've both had buys, so they're topping it. And then the Raiders and Cowboys have had 4 wins. If you go down now to where we're sitting, right there in around 14th position. Apologies there, I haven't got the numbers right in the ladder positions, but the actual team positions there are correct. So, yeah, we'll get into it now. We've only had 2 wins. We're languishing on the bottom of the ladder there. We're coming up against the Bulldogs side this week, who have played the top 2 teams and lost to them. But you can see there that we've played 4 of the top 8 teams, and they've only played 2. We've had 1 win against the Storm. We've had 2 games in the bottom 9 teams, and they've had 4 games against the bottom 9 teams. They've won 2. So I think in terms of our form line, we've still got a strength of schedule there and a strength of class in our favour. This gets to our parcel 2024 parcel fail. Well, at the moment we're failing. I think if it wasn't for the injury to Ponga and the refereeing officiating, we would have easily beaten the Roosters. So yeah, it's kind of one of those games where hopefully it's just once a year. If we won that game, I would say we're breaking even. Yeah, with 3 wins, 3 losses. Semi-fail because we've actually played 4 home matches. So even if we won that match, we're still only 3 from 4 at home. So look, it hasn't been a great start to the year. James, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's a fail at the moment. I don't think things are as dismal looking as they seem to be. But no, like, I mean, we've lost to Cowboys 2 points, Roosters 2 points, Warriors 6 points, I think. So we're not getting pumped on the Raiders. We got pumped, but we've been in every game, and then obviously we won 2. So yeah, I mean,
our run of form's been pretty good since the Storm. We beat the Storm down by 8 to the Warriors when we were under strength and traveling. And we did have 2 opportunities to win that match with drop balls. So we're just lacking a bit of execution. I actually ran through this here. We've lost 3 matches with a total of 11 points at 3.66 per game. So we're basically losing by 1 try a game in these 3 games. And they're against actually top 8 sides. So we're just a little bit off in terms of our execution. And it's a game it can be inches, and right here, right now, we're seeing that we're just a little bit off. And I think that's we've been into it before. I think the coaches made the wrong call with Cogger early in the season and the halves combinations and the tactics against the Raiders, but all these little things add up, and they add up to a fail right now. And Adam O'Brien doesn't look at ladders until September, apparently. So you better start looking at the ladder position, because if he doesn't and put a rocket up these guys to win this week, we're looking at two wins and 5 losses with 4 home matches. It would be a devastating start to the season if you think about our season preview and the squad that we've got and the run that we had last year in our performance. That 2 from 5 I never thought would happen. It's a critical match this week, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough game. as well. It's not just an easy, we're going to get that game. The Dogs were
No.
really impressive against Melbourne. So,
yep, 100%. We're at that point in the United podcast tonight. We're at halftime, and we've got a little season message here from our sponsor, MB Optimal Oral Care. MB Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. Thanks again to MB Optimal Oral Care for sponsoring the Knighthood podcast for the 2024 season. Hopefully we can get you some more wins on the board from the Knights. Yeah, but great products, zero plastic, earth friendly, best for you, best for the planet. Sell a great range of products from toothpaste tablets, toothbrushes, awesome soft bristled toothbrushes, floss picks made of silk. Good for the environment, save a turtle, scrape your tongue, scrape before you brush. Check out MB Optimal Oral Care at Chemist Warehouse online today and search EMBIOOC. Okay, second half of the show, injuries and suspensions. We are currently at a 94% strength rating, still the same as what we were last week. And the Bulldogs, they're at 76%. So guess what? That's exactly what the same thing was last week. Yep. Hard decisions I think that the coach needed to make this week was considering to drop Cogger for Gamble. I don't think Cogger was poor last week, but I don't think he was great. I think both of our halves offer a pretty similar thing. I think we lack a running threat from 6. I wouldn't personally change. I would have stuck with you can't keep changing the halves around. There needs to be look, I actually think the halves combination will work between Hastings and Cogger. They just need to be given a little bit of time. And if you look at the first 15 minutes last week, we were killing them. So let's see how they go this week. This is a massive week for the Knights. They're in our season. It's a critical match.
Huge game.
What do you think? Would you drop Cocker and go for Gamble? Gamble won us the match in reserve grade, but I mean, I think they were 26-0 down and he led the comeback.
Look, I like Gamble. I think he's just a guy that, like, if I'm playing footy, I'd like a guy like him in my team. He's just great energy and stuff. I think you need guys like that. I'd actually consider it. Yeah, I'd like him in the team, to be honest. I think he pushes those standards, like I was saying that Phoenix does, like with your kick chase, your line speed, that sort of stuff. I like those guys.
And I think his support play is better than Cogger as well. Maybe he would have pushed up and supported a bit better than some of the current halves. What are your thoughts on Hastings? He just there was a highlight that Andrew Johns made at the end of the match in a review, and he showed Hastings basically walking when Elliott made that break on the second last play of the match. Thought it was really ordinary.
I actually missed that.
He seemed, Andrew Johns brought it up in the commentary after the match, showed Hastings walking behind the play there and no support. He was quite critical of it, actually.
So what you're saying is that we've got a Latrell Mitchell in our team.
Well, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that Hastings, look, I like the bloke, but he seems. I've commented on the pod this year that I think his demeanor looks too relaxed and calm. I didn't expect that. I thought he'd be a bit more fiery and a bit more go in him. What do you think?
I mean, he also doesn't seem to be playing like. It doesn't seem like he's playing quick or with a lot of energy or anything. I mean, he's not the quickest guy anyway, but he does look very relaxed, and I don't want to use the word slow, but he does. I know he scored and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Yeah, look, it's second last play of the match. I mean, you should be really trying to win the match. I mean, maybe he's waiting for the last play to get set up, but why would you wait for the last play when it's
But
the second last play and he's made a break and the try line's open? It's just
another point though with that, where I saw Elliott go through, was that Best was sort of, and it made me think about it, because Best was sort of just lingering on the outside. It's like he wanted the ball, like
he wanted it looped
Elliott,
over. That's what he wanted.
and that made me think, it's like, I think a lot of these guys are so overcoached. Like, if you're an instinctive footy player, you see Elliott get with a bit
I
of
would have
space
passed
there.
it.
As
Yeah.
a footy player, you're like, bam, you're straight onto that. You don't just linger out there waiting for a ball to come to you. Like,
Yeah.
I think the instinctive play of players like has sort of gone out of the game a bit, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's
got
I think you've probably nailed it there, that they were looking to play structured as opposed to just playing eyes up footy. And you know, they butchered it really. And this is the reason why they've lost games by 3.66 points in 3 games. That's the reason why they haven't executed, and that's something that is in our control. And that's the reason we're 2 from 4. We should be 3 from 3 because the ref stuffed up. But anyway, let's get away from that. Do you want to run us through the teams list here for the match against the Bulldogs on Sunday at Accor?
Yeah, I'll do my best. All right. So for the Doggies,
do your Bradman best. Let's go.
Do my Bradman best, yes. All right, here we go. Fullback for the Dogs, we've got Connor Tracy. On the wing, we've got Jacob Carraz. Centres, Bronson Jerry and Stephen Crichton. The other winger is Josh Adokar. In the halves, we've got Matt Burton and Drew Hutchinson. And for the Knights, we've got Kalen Ponga. On the wing, Greg Marshue. Centres, Dane Gagai, Bradman Best, and Anari Tuala on the other wing. In the halves, we've got Jack Cogger and Hastings. So it's unchanged halves. What are your thoughts there?
Does Ponga play?
I don't know. What's your mail? Have you heard much?
No, I haven't heard mail. But I have watched some stuff on NRL Physio, and there's some stuff there I've posted on Twitter. I think he'll play. I think he would have been in pain for probably 3 or 4 days this week, and then by the weekend he'll get needled up and he'll be on. So I don't think there'll be any dramas of Ponga playing this week. He won't be 100%, but you know, that's footy.
We need him out there.
I look at this side backline from the Bulldogs. I mean, Connor Tracy. Well, you know, Tracy versus Ponga, no chance. Carraz, they talk him up a lot, but he was here at Newcastle and he didn't make it here. You know what? We are going to get to our players on notice later, coming up very shortly. And one of those players for me is in our starting back 7. Bronson Zeri, look, he looked outstanding against Storm. Crichton, he's a monster. That centre pairing there is very ominous. Adokar off the edge of that. Look, and Carraz, he's a goer. So look, they got threats there. They got Burton at 6, gaining confidence. But the thing I look at here is Connor Tracy, number 1, Drew Hutchinson at number 7. I'm going to put on the record here. I think Drew Hutchinson is a reserve grade player at best. I don't know why they continue to pick this guy at 7. I think they've got Toby Sexton there. I would be picking a more genuine half. I think he's your ordinary, and I really hope that they smash him this week.
Fire up.
I'm fired up.
And also, you know, Connor Tracy's a pretty small bloke.
If I'm playing I'm getting fired up here because of what's happened. But I mean, ultimately, if I'm playing, I want to run at him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a forward. I'd want to run at him. I want to steamroll this guy. And I hope the Knights feel like I do right now. I hope they're fired up. Like they should be fired up after what happened. They got 10 days rest up their sleeve. Let's go. This is the game where we turned our season around last year. We're in the same position here coming up against the Bulldogs. I hope they don't forget, and I hope they don't forget they're playing a reserve grader here, and Connor Tracy's a fringe first grader in my opinion. So amongst the brilliant players they have there in the centres on the wing, their spine players pretty ordinary, in my opinion, and we should be, really targeting them.
Yep.
Okay, let's have a look at the pack.
All right, for the Dogs in the front row, we've got Samuel Hughes, hooker Reed Marnie, the other hooker Chris Patolo. In the back row, we've got William Kikau and Jamin Salmon. Well, I didn't realise he was in the back row. And at lock, we've got Josh Curran, very solid player. Yeah. For the Knights, we've got Jacob Saifidi in the front row with Jaden Brayley at hooker and Leo Thompson, the other front rower. In the back row, Dylan Lucas and Kai Pearce, Paul Lubben, what he's doing. He's just got to keep the ball rolling now.
What was the comment that Ricky? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Elliott's at lock. What was the comment that Ricky Stewart made against Salmon?
Weak gutted dog.
Can you remember? The weak gutted dog.
Yeah, but that was personal. There was like some
WGD.
There was some.
That should be. They should put that in their wristband.
Family stuff going on.
Yeah, give it to him too. Stir him up. Yeah, Elliot, he should be getting in his ear. Yeah, fire up. We're going to see a bit of action this week. A bit of fire up, bit of push and shove, bit of what's going on. Like, this is the game for it. Like this. Are the Knights going to aim up this week? Are they going to fire up?
Well, they have to. Otherwise, we're 2-5, and that's a pretty ugly start of the season. They have to.
They're up against Samuel Hughes and Chris Patolo. Like, I've never even seen these guys play. I don't watch every game, but they're not named front rowers, are they?
I mean, you look at Reed Marnie's a good hooker. I'll give him that. Obviously, Kikau is a class player. Josh Curran's like a very
he's leading the
Dally
M with Ponga. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's some other guys there who I don't really know that well. So I think we've got the edge both in the backs and the forwards. But it's just whether or not we can get the job done.
Well, I hope we're feeling the fire this week like I am. I'm going to run over quickly here. It's a little bit blurry. Actually, I'm going to just chuck my glass on. Excuse
I need to borrow your glasses, I think.
Yeah, maybe. So I think the ref needs to borrow my glasses, mate.
Mate.
Okay, so we've got Bailey Haywood for the Bulldogs in jersey 14. Basaya, geez. How do you pronounce this one, James?
Falmasili.
Let's say Falmasili, yeah, 15. Curtis Moran in 16 and Blake Taff in 17. I've only ever heard of one of those guys, and that's Blake Taff. So these are obviously up-and-coming Bulldogs players. The Knights, we've got Crossland, Daniel Safidi, Jack Hetherington, and Matt Crooker. I think that's unchanged from last week. On our extended reserves, we've got Jed Cartwright, Brody Jones, Tyson Gamble, David Armstrong, and Thomas Jenkins. For the Bulldogs, we've got Toby Sexton. You think there's a chance? Maybe there's a chance the Bulldogs are going to be listening to us, James, and Hutchinson, he's going to be, he's going to be after me. I'm bagging the guy out. Nothing personal. I don't rate him as a player. I rate Sexton. I think he's a better halfback. So maybe he'll play this week. Maybe they'll be looking for that extra spark and creativity. Also, Liam Knight, he's a pretty good player. Jake Turpin, he's not a bad player either, is he? They're pretty handy reserves that are not actually named in the 1 to 17. Max King, also pretty handy.
Experience there.
Absolutely, yeah. So maybe some of these guys will push for last minute changes. And you want to go that last name because I've got no idea, mate. Who's in the 23 there for the Bulldogs?
Kidione Kautoga.
Wow,
we'll go with that.
You're getting better.
Had to get the eyes right up there, though.
Hey, you're on fire.
Butchered it. Oh, here we go. Fire up.
Okay, here we are. Fire up. Players on notice. Number 1 for me, Jack Cogger. Without putting too much pressure on the guy, this is a game that he needs to stand up against his old club. I did play for the Bulldogs for a bit there. I'm right there. He played for the Bulldogs, didn't he, Cogger?
Yeah.
He went straight. He went from the Knights to the Bulldogs, and then he went to the Super League, I think, and then
came back to Penrith. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think he's got heritage there from the Bulldogs, the Cogger family.
Okay.
So anyway, Cogger's on notice for me. He needs to really step up and own this 6 jersey that he's got on his back, and if he doesn't, and the Knights lose this week, I think Will Price actually got injured in reserve grade last week, but I'd like to see Will Price in this Knight squad to the top 17, or gamble. But I'd be, if we lose this match, I'd be looking towards the future, and for me that's Will Price in the 6 with the X factor. And look, Marju, I'm going to have a bit of a rant here. Marju missed the trial for unknown reason. That looked a bit suspicious to me. He had a history last year of missing the bus. Remember, he didn't play a match. Was that actually against the Bulldogs?
I thought it was Brisbane.
But
did he? Queensland.
Yeah, was that? But did he miss the Bulldogs match?
Yeah.
Was that the match that he missed?
It might have been. I can't recall.
It may have been actually. But anyway, he's got a bit of a history of being like, from the Titans let him go because he was a bit of a, I don't know. I don't think his attitude was 100% ill-disciplined. And then overall, I think he played pretty well for us last year. But, early signs of missing the trial there was no disclosed reason for that. And I thought there's been some he's made some lapses in concentration this year. I don't know. I'm not feeling it from Marju this year. I think as much as we need him to be our best winger, I'm not feeling it. He makes the odd error, from time to time in critical times, and he's my main player on notice this week. I want to see a big match from Marju. I think he owes it to the team and himself this week to aim up and help us get a good victory and run, over 200 meters and score a couple of meat pies.
Well, with him not being as great as he could be, we've been lucky that Tuala's been really solid for us as well. So he's
been great, man.
He's up his game, which we didn't really expect. We'll hope, he's a good player, but he's exceeded my expectations.
There was question marks on Tuala, and we have noticed that he's a confidence player, and he's how good was that left to right pass to Ponga in that play that made Ponga make the break in the end? Did you notice that pass? It was passing left to right is quite difficult if you're right-handed. I'm not sure. Maybe he's left-handed. I'm not sure. I thought it was a beautiful pass. Good sort of maybe 15-meter, 20-meter pass straight on the Ponga's chest, right in front of him. Beautiful ball, and that's from a winger. So yeah, he's very skillful. Tuala, he's playing well. Let's run here through some notes I made. Key stats for the Knights and the Bulldogs. We've got Bulldogs played well versus Melbourne away. They probably deserved to win the match. They went down in a narrow loss. The Bulldogs have played 5 of their last 6 matches in Sydney, which I think gives them an advantage when it comes to not travelling. Last year, this match kick-started a 10-game run for the Knights. Knights were basically fatigued last week, and I think they needed the rest. And last year, the Knights won a combined 2-match total of 108-6 against the Bulldogs. So, can they repeat this absolute flogging they gave them last year? And the Knights have won 5 of the past 6 matches against the Bulldogs. So we've got some things in our favour here going into this match, including the referee, Peter Goff. We've got a 62% win rate with this guy when I looked at the stats, and the Bulldogs have a 28% winning rate. So that's a pretty significant stat there. And it coming off having a shocker last week, the refs, I think there's a good chance that we might get the rub of the green this week. So that's definitely something in our favour, including the record that we've got against the Bulldogs. We still don't know how the game's going to be managed, and we won't know until the match is going. But I think we've got an edge here with the ref and the fact that we've got a good history. We should be going into this pretty confident. And the weather forecast is partly cloudy with light winds, so I don't think the weather will sort of factor into this too much. I'm actually thinking about heading out to this match. This might be my first in-person Knights match for the year. I might get myself out to Accor Stadium on Sunday and give the boys a cheer on.
Nice. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Get some photos. Send some photos through.
Get some photos up. I'll pop them up on X for anyone who wants to follow us.
Absolutely.
So the final analysis here is that the Knights, we've got a full strength rating of 94% compared to the Bulldogs at 76%. Both teams are on the same ladder position here at 2 wins and 4 losses. Both teams must win if they want to play finals this year. And the question I've got there, does Ponga play? Because if he doesn't play, it really levels out the match and it could be a real dogfight. But I'm thinking that if Ponga plays, we will win. And we'll get into our tips in a second. This is going to be a bit of a tough one for you tonight, James. And also for me, after that loss last week, we were pretty confident the Knights would win. I was at a 9 out of 10 confidence level. You were at an 8. So your betting tally for the season, if you have off $100 bet per match, you've lost $139 at a minus 20% return on investment. We will note that you are the novice of the Knighthood podcast team when it comes to betting. It's your first season, so we cut you a bit of slack. Your strike rate's at 2 wins and 5 losses, 29%, but you do have a good average winning odds at $2.30. Your match predictions when it's head-to-head Knights versus the opposition is 3 from 3 at 50%. So overall, your predictions is 50-50, not too bad. The Knights have actually. You're not betting with your heart all the time. The Knights have only won 2 matches, so you're predicting against them when you don't think they're going to win, which is good. And what are your thoughts here? How are you going to improve your performance? You're in a similar position here to the Knights, mate. So what are you thinking here? How can you improve your selection process here?
Oh, I just think I've got to. I think I've told you in the past, I've gone more, based on the heart. I've got to be more over the stats and sort of, this is a learning process for me. It's, like you said, it's my first full year, probably just having a crack at this. So, I'm just going to have to be more vigilant in the process, basically. And then hopefully that reaps some rewards.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of a tip here. If you won last week, which you should have, because that was a bit of your bet was on the Knights head to head, right? So you took the safe play. What you thought, you had a strong confidence level, and we most likely win that match if Ponga doesn't get injured and the ref doesn't screw us. So you would have been breaking even, and you would have been three wins and 4 losses, and not doing too bad with a good average strike rate in average winning odds. So don't panic just yet. Keep level-headed, and you'll come out on top overall. I'm sure of it. That's the advice today from me. And if you compare yourself against the Knights, if you've lost $139 this year, but if you were a Knights supporter and put all your hard-earned $100 every week on the Knights, you'd be losing $275 at minus 46%. So if people have listened to you as opposed to listening to their hearts, they're still in a better off position. So we can take that as a win. We'll get into my side of the fence now. Basically, last week was if we landed that one last week, we would have been in a really strong position, doing really well for the season. My head-to-head record is at -2 or minus $12 and minus 2% in the head-to-head. My strike rate is 4 wins and 3 losses at 57%. My match predictions is 4 wins and 2 losses at 66%. And my average winning odds is $1.87. So overall, really pissed off about last week. I think that's something that we should have won, but you need to factor in losing into a winning strategy. And if we include my live bet that we had the round previous where we won, and I'm at 100% 1 out of 1 strike rate on live bets, my overall for the season is plus $78 at an average winning odds of $1.88 at a average winning strike rate of 63% with a return of 11% on investment, profit on turnover. So I'm happy to be making a profit 11%. I mean, I did make the comment last week that if we make 15 to 20% return on investment for the year, we'll be happy. It's currently sitting at 11%. It could have easily been much higher if we got last week, but let's not harp on it anymore. I'm going to put that to bed. Nails in the coffin. Let's focus on the upcoming week. Before we do that, before we give our predictions, I'm going to quickly run over our formula. So our betting formula, we follow a system of selection. We make a call and we stick to it after we've basically been through our consistent selection process. And this week for me was really hard to go through after the shit loss last week. So I've had to really drag myself through this process, and keep my chin up after last week, even though from my side of things, we're still successful and actually beating the market and beating the bookies. I think we should be beating them by more. So anyway, we make a call after we've been through our system of selection. We've been very consistent with what we do. We've done it again this week. Back to the drawing board. Let's go into round 7. We keep our staking even with our bets, so we don't sort of put too much on a bet or too little on a bet. We keep it nice and consistent to maintain the level of consistency across our results. We measure our results, win, lose, or draw, and then we focus on improvement, which is what we've done this week. Back to the drawing board. We're going to make some selections pretty soon. Now, some rules here. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. To start with an amount of money that's an investment, a bet investment that you think you can't afford to lose. You're putting money aside into a betting tally and betting pool, and you're going to trade that each week. Never chase your losses. It's the worst thing you can do as a bettor or a gambler, is to chase your losses, because most of the time you make emotional decisions and you lose. Focus on the long term, not the moment. So yeah, keep an eye on the prize. Like I said, where our goal here, I actually want to make 25% return on investment this year. If I get 15 to 20%, I'll be happy. That's what the long-term aim is. So we're going to keep focus on that long-term aim and not make any stupid short-term decisions. And if you can't control this, if it's something that too complicated, if you're losing on the punt and you can't control it, quit. It's just, maybe it's not for you. Rightio, James. I'm going to quickly run through the odds here, and you're going to make a call for your side of the fence this week. So brought to you by TopSport, our preferred betting supplier. Knights to win are $1.82. Bulldogs to win are $1.98. That's head to head. Knights at the line, which is a minus 1.5 points, is $1.95. Knights 1 to 12 is $3.25. Knights 13 plus $3.95. What's your tip?
Yeah, so I'm putting my $100 on the Knights 1 to 12. I initially was going to go 13 plus, but I've dragged that back. I think we've got the better squad. I think the Dogs played really well against Melbourne, so that sort of made me think if they can replicate something similar, it would be a bit closer. But I still think coming off the back of the Roosters game, they'll know what to tidy up and where to, to improve. The coach will obviously, want to rectify the errors he made interchange-wise and stuff like that. I think the Knights will, I think we'll win this 1 to 12.
By 1 to 12. Okay.
Yep.
Rightio. Well, okay. So my selection this week is I'm just going to take the Knights there at $1.82. The reason I'm going to take that is I think the $1.82 is good odds for head-to-head against the Bulldogs. That's juicy to me. My betting formula is based off picking 3 out of 4 every 4 games. So if 3 winners, 1 loss, that just happens every 4 games. So I factor in losing into system. I need to get average odds of $1.66 to make a 25% return on investment at that strike rate. So this for me fits right into my strategy for betting. And I think they're at the $1.82. The Knights are a get on at those odds. I actually am leaning towards a 13 plus this week. Who knows? I've lost a bit of confidence after last week. I've lost confidence in the officiating in the match. I'm pretty confident that the Knights, after a 10-day turnaround, will turn up here focused and will beat the Bulldogs quite convincingly in a lot of key areas in this. And if Ponga plays, I think they'll win 13 plus. If he doesn't play, that's really going to test us. And then David Armstrong would come into the side.
Yeah.
I think they would. I think we'll still win, but I think we'd win 1-12. So if Ponga plays 13 plus, if Armstrong plays, I think 1-12. I don't think we're losing this match. I'm quite confident in that, but I'm very haunted. What's the word? I'm spooked. I'm spooked by the refs. I'm spooked by the officiating, and that's really knocked out my confidence. So I'm just hoping we get the rub of the green. As we did touch on, Peter Goff. We've got a good winning strike rate, and the Bulldogs have a bad losing strike rate. So hopefully that plays in our favour. And yeah, that's where it wraps up. So I think I'm also going to have a look at. I was considering taking the line at -1.5, but I'm actually going to stick to the straight at $1.82 there, just in case it does get close, and just in case Ponga doesn't play. And I've made a note here that if you're live betting, and I'm actually going to be attending the match on Sunday, I think. So I'm probably going to get a seat probably on the 50-50 there, on the halfway, and try and get a good feel for the match. So if I do get a bit of a feel for the match here, and I feel things are going in a certain direction, I'm leaning towards 13 plus. I'll be leaning towards covering the line, the match line, whatever that sort of comes up at a certain point in time. I am successful one win, no losses so far on live bets. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to double down on this bet here and take advantage of what I'm thinking going into the match. Hopefully I see what I want to see, and I'll be putting that live bet posted on Twitter if you want to get on. So I'll be looking at the game management from the ref. I'll be looking at the energy levels from our team and the Bulldogs. I'll be looking at how we execute our game plan in the conditions, and who's executing better across both of the sides. And I'll be looking for any turning points in the match that may, like last week, that penalty that the Roosters got and then they scored and Ponga got injured. Then that was a huge turning point, So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if I post a live bet, I'll be taking all those things into consideration. And that pretty much wraps us up for this week, James. Mate, it's been a bit of an angry one from me, to be frank. And I am fired up, and I hope the Knights are fired up for this week. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to go over, the controversy and get it out of our system, But in saying that,
Yeah.
I know what you mean by the whole you're spooked by the refereeing, because it's in the back of your mind now. You're thinking about, is that going to happen again? And it's not the two teams sorting themselves out. You got this other third party that's going to mess things
Well, there's
up.
three
But
teams. There's three teams,
yeah,
right?
100%.
And it's just not consistent. And I don't get the confidence from the NRL or Graham Annesley that there's going to be consistency. I just think it's a lottery. And that's that's where I'm spooked. So it's shit, but we move into it. And look, you know what? If I'm there and I'm feeling spooked and I feel like this game's going against us, I'll actually I'll get out of this bet, and I'll back the Bulldogs. If I feel like, if it's the team or it's the ref, and if I get that vibe again, my instinct's telling me, I'll go the other way and hedge the bet. And I think that's as much as I really would hate to do that, I'm not going to be stupid and sit there and just, say, go Knights, let's win this.
No.
So that's, at the end of the day, it's these little calls at the end of the season that they may make a difference between us making a profit or a loss. And, we're here to, be passionate about the Knights and, to judge their performance, and hopefully it's good performance and we make the 8, we make the 4. Look, if we don't win this match, we're not making the top 4. I can guarantee that.
No.
And I'm going to put one last final tip out here. I have had the thought. I haven't checked the odds, but actually, I'm going to do it live now. I'm going to check the Knights, what the Knights' odds is to make the top 8. Because if you're going to back the Knights to make the top 8 this year, you should be doing it right here, right now. Last year, I backed the Knights at the start of the season to make the top 8. I got $6, and I had a pretty large bet on that without going into the full details. But I was able to pick it last year, so I'm actually thinking, if you're thinking the Knights are going to make the top 8, which I still think they will make the top 8, let's have a look at these odds just quickly. You got any final thoughts there, James? While I have a look at these odds.
Well, I mean, getting back to I went up early this at the start of the year, saying top 4. I think my prediction was top 4, and I'm starting to second guess that now. I don't think they will make the top 4. They're just not.
It's hard after the
not in
start
that realm
of the season.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And we're sort of getting into that territory of we're basically going to have to replicate last year to, if we continue in the trajectory we're going, and it's hard to do.
The Knights, to make the top 4 now, the odds is $15. So I had a little wager on the Knights to make the top 4 at the start of the year in bonus bets. I didn't actually lay down my own physical money, but I did actually accumulate some bonus bets, and I've got a pretty decent bet on the Knights to make the top 4. It's I think I got $5 at the start of the year. That's not looking too good at the moment, but doesn't mean that they still can't rally and make the top 4. Where it's not impossible, especially if they go out and smash the Bulldogs this weekend. They go on a bit of a run over the next 5 games before the bye. So to make the top 8, what do you reckon the odds are, James?
Oh God, no idea.
No idea. Well, the odds is $3.30, and I can tell you the odds were around $2 at the start of the year, so that's now gone out to $3.30. If you're looking to back the Knights to make the top 8, I don't think you'll get. Well, let's put it this way: if they lose against the Bulldogs, would you actually back them to make the top 8? Because the season can really go down from there, right? So what if you're backing the Knights to make the top 8? They're winning this week, and those odds will get a little bit shorter than $3.30. That's probably about the best I think you'll see the odds this year if the Knights are going to make the top 8. So that's a tip here. If you want to do a long tail bet, that's our tip for the Knighthood podcast. Get on there at $3.30. Knights to make the top 8. I might even have a little whack at that myself. Because I think it's pretty good. Phil Gould, at the start of the year, I hold him accountable. He actually said the Knights certainly make the top 8. So look, it's maybe it's 50-50 at the moment. The odds are $3.30, so the odds are pretty good. But let's wrap it up, mate. Thanks again for your input, and another good pod. This is our longest one on record. If you liked it, if you got value from it, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like, a thumbs up. You can also find this on Spotify and Apple. So if you want to have a listen on the daily commute or at the gym or something like that, that's a good place to find us. You can follow us on X and Facebook. Not so much on Facebook. We're a bit more heavy on X here. And if you want to get live match comments from the Knighthood podcast and live tips and bets, definitely tune in. That pretty much wraps us up. We didn't get to the team song last week. Mate, we'll go out with the winning team song. Let's hope we're singing it this week against Bulldogs.
Yeah, bring it on. Hopefully the Knights can win. I'm confident they will, but I've said that previous weeks as well. But bring it on. Go the Knights.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we get a good rub of the green with the refs.
We're just a bit spooked. Look, we should be winning this week, and we should be winning well. Up the Knights. Let's go. See you, mate.
See you, mate.